Good morning. Special thank you to everyone, to Zeitlin, that we are able to do this today on a snowy day. Special thanks to Nachman, Fried, and all the other Masadrim, and all the participants, and to my Rebbe, Reb Chaim Kramer, and BRI. We're in Torah Zion, and we are finishing up paragraph Dalet. We've talked about the greatest ingredient in a true leader, his ability to have Rahmanas, and Rahmanas, we will find out, actually extends in both directions. To those who are extremely close to Hashem already, they are already tzaddikim in their own right, huge Talmidei Chachamim, and Rav Nachman points out that the role of this Rachaman is to have Rahmanas on them to help them see they've got a way more still to go in their lifetime. And of course, the other end of the extreme, which we're going to see much more, not today, but maybe next week, that even Poshe Yisrael, which is the worst imaginable depths of depravity, that someone actually would do Averas L'Hachis, that they also can be reached by this Rachaman, this towering leader. So that's what we've covered, and we pointed out the greatest Rahman is actually for people who've got Avonos, for Klal Yisrael, which is not shaykh to the neshama of a Jew, but when we are tainted, stained on the outside by Avonos, we need a tzaddik of a towering personality, that of the madrig of a Moshe Rabbeinu, in order to reach us and pull us out of our Avonos. So then Rav Nachman pointed out the only reason a person would ever do an Aveira is because of a lack of das. We didn't look deeply in that. We've actually touched on it quite a lot in previous classes, not from this Torah, but we will, Be'ezvan Hashem, touch on that when we do a second round. And right now we're pointing out that the tzaddik is not the only one who is doing this. When a person dies, their tachlis is not to reach their place in Gan Eden. That is a part of the goal, but the real goal, the shleimus of that, in the lashon of Rav Nachman, is the shleimus of the neshama is actually to leave behind das of that neshama from its lifetime that is now found in either a Talmud or in a child, in their own biological child. And that das is specifically the das that Moshe Rabbeinu injected in us, which is the das of Ata hareta ladas ki Hashem hu Elokim ein odim levadai. And we looked at the context of that statement in Matan Torah. So that I think is pretty clear. What we then touched on last week is that Rav Nachman points out what happens if someone's not married, he's got no children, or he's married with no children, or he's not a Rebbe, he hasn't got any Talmidim. So then this is where we dived in last week, that does not exclude anybody, because every single person who has a discussion with another Jew, and in that discussion there is Yirat Shemayim, they're talking about being close to Hashem. That discussion is a form of creating the other person into a student, so that when you're talking to me in Yirat Shemayim, I become your student, and vice versa. It goes both ways. So that's the main point that we left off on, and we were up to the parenthesis where Rav Nosson kind of gives a synopsis of what was said so far. So if you've got the place, there's a parenthesis which says Hainu K'moshe Adam. Have you got the place?
Yes. Yep.
Hainu K'moshe Adam. It's like a case where the person Mitzuva Lamid Banim Ba'olam, he has a mitzvah to literally to cause to stand children in this world. We've talked about the word Amida means independent, and it's a very important understanding because it fits perfectly over here, that the soul, when it leaves this world, we want it to have left behind children who can stand on their own, meaning they are independently able to pass on the same das that they receive from their father to their children, and etc. Bishvil kiyum ha'olam, because this is how we preserve the world. The word kiyum is a very important word. Every word is important, but it means sustain, maintenance. In America, we live in a world where almost all the glory goes to results. Everything is about results: how much a person earns, how much they're worth, Ki'ilu, that's the, how much is this person worth? I'm like, really? That's how we quantify and measure a human being? How much real estate he owns, which zip code he lives in, etc. What car does he drive? Oh, he's got the $150,000 new Mercedes or BMW, I think it is, a luxury car. So the measure is always on the result. Oh, he lost a lot of weight, great. Made a lot of money, great. Got a beautiful big home, second home, third home, all very nice. It's all on results. But the real glorification, the real attention that a person deserves is actually not the result, it's actually the maintenance of that result. So for example, bringing a child into the world, Mazel Tov, Mabruk, we're very happy for you, but which is a greater accomplishment? To bring a child into the world was not easy. People have spent thousands, hundreds of thousands on various procedures to be able to have children. So it's not a simple thing, but that's great. But which is a greater achievement? To bring a child into the world or to raise that child? Oh, that's much harder. What's harder? To get married was not easy for everyone. Which is harder, to get married or stay married? Oh, that's much harder. Oh, what's easier? To make a lot of money or to maintain that wealth? It's much harder to maintain the wealth. Build a building, Mazel Tov, at last we finished the shul. Which is harder, to build a shul? Took years of campaigning, or to maintain the shul? Maintenance is much harder. Kiyum is what we're really talking about over here. And I think I may have mentioned a long time ago, a Mishnah in Sanhedrin. I think it's Perek Daled Mishnah Hey. Please do not be impressed by Makoros. It's not my mind. It's just gimmicks. It's all mnemonics. Anybody and everyone can do it. You just need a little bit of discipline. And I'm serious. It's 100%.
I just need a lecture from you, but
I'll be happy to give it to you.
We're not going to stop.
So, Perek Daled Mishnah Hey in Sanhedrin, there's a mission there that's sometimes misquoted, and I've actually seen on a copper plaque in a shul. I've actually seen it written this way: Kol ha'matzel nefesh achas miYisrael, ki'ilu matzel olam maleh. There is no such Mishnah, there's no such girsa. I've not found a girsa to that effect. The Mishnah doesn't say that. Now, Hatzalah, and that, I don't mean by that the organization, but a concept of saving a person's life, huge. You can't get it. You can't diminish what that is. But that's not what the Mishnah says. The Mishnah says Kol ha'mekayim nefesh achas miYisrael. So it's not about saving the life, it's about maintaining that person. That is considered glory. That's what,
and the Gemara says, Godla limit.
Godla? Oh, so it's Megillah, yeah, Megillah. With Mordechai is Polish Mixas Sanhedrin, because okay, it's a separate point though. But the point here is Kiyum is really huge, because it's called maintenance. The kiyum of a person going 3 times a day to davening and he falls, starts again. Kiyum, that is kiyum, going to a shiur or having his own shiurim. Everything is kiyum, and kiyum is what we call victory. That's what we glorify. That's what we consider a celebration. But the results, it pales against the fact that a person just doesn't give up. It's not the results that count. It's always kiyum. So when it says here, we're in the parentheses. Buddy, you got the place? We started in the parentheses that Rav Nosson added in here on the Torah in Daled. Just like a person has a mitzvah to stand up children, they should become independent. Bishvil kiyum ha'olam, for the sake of maintaining planet Earth. Ken hu mitzuv lahachnis das v'yir shamayim b'banav u'b'talmidim. So also, not only to bring physical children into the world and fill the world with, to populate it, but also to stand up, to enter into their minds, imbue them with das and yirat shamayim in his children and in his students. Ki zeh ikar mitzvah. That's the mitzvah puravu. The ikar mitzvah puravu is to bring children into the world who will continue the das. Shemitzuva lamed toldes likiyum ha'olam. To stand up generations that will continue the world. Kiyum is continuation. It's maintaining. It's not stop start. Ki ha'ikar lamed toldes mimin b'nei adam davka. The main purpose of bringing children into the world is they should become b'nei adam. V'lo min behemus v'chayas b'dmus adam. And that doesn't mean animals or wild animals that are in the image of a human being, as in Pere Adam. Al Kain, Kozman She'ein Meir Hadas Bivnei Adam. All the time that we are not succeeding in enlightening the minds of Bnei Adam, the Einam Yoidim, and therefore people don't know, Umargishim El Kusoi, and don't even feel the fact that there's Elokus Isbarach, Umimshalasoi, and his rulership over the world. He controls everything. Einam Beklal Bnei Adam. They don't enter the category of human beings. If they don't know that Hashem exists, that's not called a human being. This is basically the real Geder. Geder here really means definition. Geder, strictly speaking, means offense. But the concept of offense is that it encloses an area and defines the property as belonging to so-and-so or whatever it is. So Geder also means definition, because it's defining the limits of a human being, and therefore this is a very important lashon to identify the definition of a human being is his mind. And the mind is that he's able to see HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you are in this world. And our Legoyim, the fact that we're meant to be a light to the nations, is the light of the Ar Hadas that we're talking about over here, is that we live by Hashem's Torah, and that becomes the automatic kiruv. There ought not to be any kiruv organizations. We, the From Yidden, should be the kiruv organization of the world. That is really what the role modeling. But Al Kain. And therefore, Nechsham ha'olam tohu v'vayu. Without this das, the world is considered empty and void, as it was before, right at the beginning of creation. Val zanema, and it's on that, this emptiness, loy tohu bara, in the pasuk in Yeshayahu, Hashem did not create the world to be empty. Lasheves Yitzara, He created it to be occupied, populated. Ki tzrichim liyashev es haolam. We have to fill the world, populate the world, settle the world. Sheyeh miyushav haolam mibnei adam daika. Specifically, human beings. The hainu mibnei idea. A human being means they are children of a mind. That's the literal translation. We've talked about what it means. Children of the mind means they are an extension of their own das. Sheyodim es Hashem yisbarach. Their das is really this is brought in. I think it's Hilchos Hodah in Likuti Halachas, that the neshama is the das. The person's mind is powered by his neshama, and so the two are synonymous. So sheyodim et Hashem yisbarach, we know Hashem. Your neshama is constantly shining, like the sun is constantly shining, even on a day like this where it's snowing. It's shining. It just happens to be that you and I can't see it. You go up in a plane, you go above the clouds, you're above the weather, the sun is always shining. You go on the other side of the earth when it's dark, in an airplane, the sun is still shining. It's just I'm a different. The sun is always shining. Your neshama is always shining. It can never go out. It's eternal. It's a chelik elokam mimal. So that means that when the neshama's body and the mind, which is powered by the neshama, does mitzvahs, tzitzis, yarmulke, eats matzah on Pesach, lights candles on Shabbos, all the mitzvahs that we do, maisius, and all the thinking and words we say of tefillah and Torah, the neshama gets lit up, and the neshama is connected, so to speak, and it feels it, it knows it. It's rather like, it's absolutely incredible that when the Baal Teshuvah movement came along, it was a story in the 60s, 70s, that you could tell them the stories of Chumash, and it was interesting. You hardly ever heard them say, really, a stick turned into a snake and then back again? You really believe that? And then the stick swallowed up all the other. So it's interesting. Why wouldn't people just question that? It's like, it's bizarre. It completely doesn't make any sense. And the answer is, a Jewish neshama already learned kol Torah kula in the womb of its mother. And so when it hears something that it never heard before, once it was born, it's not hearing it for the first time. It's not bizarre. It's actually connecting. Oh yeah, I remember that. So there's a deep connection that's really taking place when a person actually learns Torah, even though it appears to be the first time. There's no such thing as learning Torah for the first time. You're actually retrieving what was already taught. So that's why I do believe there's actually no word in Lashon HaKodesh. There's no word in Lashon HaKodesh that correctly means teach. V'shinantam levnecha, please be mochel me, does not mean teach. Shinun does not mean teach, means repeat, means sharpen. And it's translated as teach or teach thoroughly, which is not a bad translation, but it suggests there's such a thing as teaching, and there isn't. There really isn't. When a Rebbe is teaching his students, he's giving them information that their mind already knows. We'll get to it later when we talk about makifim that are beyond the student's mind. It means to cause them to learn. V'limatem oisam means to cause them to learn. I checked that with Rabbi Yehuda Winder, who's a huge medakdek, a London Utsum in Dikduk. So he said, yeah, it means to cause them to learn. There's no word for teach. A melamed is not a teacher, it's someone who causes the birth of wisdom in the mind of the child, of the student. That's a mitzudas in...
It's a lashon of birthing?
Yeah, birthing. A melamed is lashon moilid. And a moilid is not the person giving birth, it's the person facilitating the birth. It's the midwife. That's the lashon of a melamed. It is so bizarre that we've taken from someone else's translation and it became a decoy. Because we're losing out on a huge hashkafa that's contained in the language. So in Perek Chaf Gimel, Pasuk Chaf Dalet in Mishlei 23-24, and it's also in Pasuk 25. So it's 23, 24, and 25. On the word Yoeled Hacham, the Matsuda says, how do you give birth to a Hacham? You can't give birth to a Hacham. It takes decades to become a Hacham. No, so he points out that the lashon of Moilid is Melamed, and a Melamed is Moilid Chachma B'Leva Talmud. He is causing the birth of wisdom in the mind of the child. You have extraordinary wisdom way before you're born. Your mind and your heart are the only two parts of your body microscopically from the moment of conception. And it's from that moment onwards, your brain and your heart actually create your entire skeletal system over a 9-month period. That's extraordinary. And the entire nervous system and all your respiratory system. Your mind is brilliant. It's absolutely extraordinary what it can do. And this is before it's been taught ABC, 1, 2, 3, Aleph, Base. It doesn't know anything, hasn't got any vocabulary, but it's got divine intelligence. That is the point. It's divine intelligence. So when a teacher is teaching, inverted commas, what they're actually doing is causing the mind to grow. But the mind already has all the raw material to be able to do that. I need vocabulary, teach me Aleph, Base. Teach me shroshim, prefix, suffixes, so I have a chance of understanding the text. But the main goal is that once I have got the baseline skills that the Rebbe has to teach me, because I can't come to on my own, I'm independent. I can figure this out now on my own. Now I need the Tosh Baal Peh to help me when I have a problem with the pasuk. But the main point is, teaching is not really what's taking place. Milcham Teshel Torah really means it's a dialogue. It's back and forth, back and forth. And a real Rebbe... What?
Hamalamed Torah, Hashem is giving us the ability to learn.
Yes, he is, and that is your greatest teacher, the greatest teacher you ever had. You said it this morning when you said, "Thank Hashem, Hamalamed." You're the one who is facilitating learning. That's what it really means. So he's our greatest teacher, in inverted commas. But once I know that there's no such word as teacher, I can get away from.
Moira means what?
Moira means show, guide. Yeah, Moira, a Yeredeya. A lashon in Yeshayahu means to guide the mind. A moirechetz is someone who is an archer. He has a target and he fires the arrow at a specific target. So, but there's no word for teach, because that's not reality.
So the pasuk Gil Yogel Avit Tzadik V'Yodet Chochem is applying to the Eibishter?
Is applying.
It could be applied.
It could be.
To the Eibishter,
It could be. You have to look at the Mepharshim, but it's really going. The Matsutas there. He says it's lashon moilid. You are causing the birth of wisdom that's already in the mind of the student. So all you've already got the wisdom. You proved it from the fact that you created your body. You didn't do it yourself. It's the divine wisdom, divine intelligence Hashem injected in the neshama that is what is powering your mind. So let's move forward. The continuation from mitzvah puravu is right after it says be fruitful and multiply, then it says umilu et haaretz, fill up the earth, fill the earth. Don't be afraid. I got plenty of resources. I can take care of as many children as you want to bring into this world. We have a mitzvah. We have to fill the world with human beings. What does that mean? We should be communicating with each other and actually cause the other person to have das through talking to them. That's the real Yishuv ha'olam. And the Deah is to know Hashem. That's the end of the parenthesis of Rav Nosson. Any points you want to say on that?
But you have to be.
He's bringing both psukim of Rietti. Why is that? What's the difference between Puravu and L'Soy B'Ra?
So there are actually a total of 8 times in Tanakh that the mitzvah of Puravu is brought. So the first one is both of these are for the entire humanity.
Not for the Jews specifically.
Not the Jews specifically. In Perek Lamed Hey Pasuk Yud Aleph in Bereshis, that's when Hashem speaks to Yaakov Avinu, and he says, "Ani kel shakai peruveh." But the mitzvah of Puravu to all mankind through Adam Rishon, that's in Perek Aleph Pasuk Chav Ches, which is this mitzvah that he's quoting. You're right. Umilu es haaretz. Then the second pasuk, which is taken from Yeshayahu, that actually is not the same, because it's telling you the flip side. I did not create this world for people to be single or marry the same gender. I created this world for people to live together and bring more children into the world. Even in the world of science, everything is chromosomes. Everything has a male and a female counterpart.
What are we learning from the second pasuk that we didn't see from L'Soy B'Ra?
Not to marry an islanders.
Yeah.
Not to marry an islanders. That you have.
Rietti is already.
No, L'Soy B'Ra means it's like what the pasuk says over there that it's quoted in Yevamis that from Hoshaya that if they marry someone that they cannot have children, that's the loisus.
Right.
L'Soy B'Ra is more the loisus.
Right.
That you're not allowed to marry an island,
right,
or someone, or having
right,
any way how you actually avoiding having
right,
children. That's the most.
So it's the flip side of umilu et haaretz, fill the world. And what's it mean, fill the world? Fill the world not just physically human beings. The physical human being is the heikatimsa for that human being to have das. And so umilu et haaretz, to fill the world, and because I did not create the world to be empty. You've got people who are hermits. That's not what Hashem wants. Hashem wants that Chazal tell us in Medrash Rabbah that one of the reasons Hashem started the Torah with the letter base and not letter aleph is because the letter aleph is the first letter in the word arur. So it was rejected. Every ois came before Kadosh Baruch Hu's Medrash Rabbah. Hagdam in the Zohar also has every single ois. So every ois came and gave an argument why Hashem should begin the Torah with that ois. And Hashem rejected all of them except for base. Base said, please start with me. I'm the first letter in the word Baruch or Barech. So Hashem said, that's beautiful, I love it. So the Maharal famously asked, it makes no sense. There are plenty of words that start with an aleph, and they're positive words like or means light. Why are you going on arur? There's plenty of words that start with a base that are not good. Bilbul, confusion. So says the Maharal, it's not talking about the ois. It's talking about what it represents. Bracha, which we talked about last week, means increase, and a moment you begin bracha, that is the starting of multiplicity. The number 2 base is beginning of multiplicity. Aleph is arur, so to speak, because it stands alone. And Hashem didn't create the world for people to be alone. He wanted that they should interface. And therefore the mitzvah of Puravu is forcing a husband and wife to get along with each other despite their differences. And that's the Ikar Shalom. That's what Rav Nachman talks about there in Torah Pei, I believe it is, that the Ikar Shalom is his chabrus of Shnei Chafechim. It's davka. It's not when you've got so much in common. That's only during the dating period. But the Ikar, his chabrus, is the fact that you're different and you still coexist. And Rav Nachman brings a raya there that's shalom. Hashem makes shalom between Eish and Mayim and created Shamayim. Eish and Mayim are two complete opposites. You can't get more opposite than Eish and Mayim, and therefore his chabrus of opposites is what is the Ikar Shalom. So the point here is that the das that we're supposed to have, and we're going to get into it when we get into the Makifim and whatnot, the Ikar das, as you know, das is his chabrus between Chesed and Gevura. These are two opposites. Chesed appears to be kindness, Gevura appears to be din. Strict justice, no wiggle room for Chesed. Chesed looks like it's the other side of the coin. And yet Das will tell you that actually both come from the exact same Echad, one source, which is Hashem. So the Das is the ability to take differences and help them coexist. Rav Nachman is big on this with Nekudas Tovas, which we might touch upon a little bit because it has a lot to do with having a friend, has everything to do with finding the good in each other. So over here, what Rav Nachman is pointing out basically is that it's possible that even without having children and without having Talmidim, just in a stum conversation, two people having conversation, you are creating a Talmud out of that person, and the das that you have injected, so to speak, into that person will continue into Olam HaEmes, so that when the neshama of the person who spoke goes to Olam HaEmes and his body is buried, the das that he gave to another person, that will continue. So that's not a small thing, that's huge. There are so many times in history where a person may have even said an innocent Dvar Chochma, and the person listening was blown away, and it started a whole movement. And you got situations like that. It goes both positive and goes negative. Sarah Schneer, she got 3 words of a bracha, and she didn't even hear it herself. She got it from her brother, who heard it from I think it was the Belzer Rebbe, who said a mazel bracha, and that was enough to keep her fueled for the rest of. And she started with three talmidot, and every single rabbi she went to, knocking on their doors, they not only turned her away, they even sent a delegation to the Chavetz Chaim of, I think it was 5 balabatim, to complain about her and to put her into Cherem. And when he heard about her idea, the Chavetz Chaim went into his back room and he pulled out a pouch of all the money that he had, and he said, "I'm making you shlichim to give this to Sarah Schneer because I want to have a chelik in this in the Beis Yaakov movement." So she started with 3 talmidim. I think it was 1903 or 1905. By 1939, right before the war broke out, there were 39,000 students in the Beis Yaakov movement throughout the world. And it's been said many times that it's because of her insistence from those 3 words, bracha and mazel and bracha. Maybe it's really 2 words. Mazel and bracha. She was so fired up that she got a bracha from a tzaddik emes that she ended up fueled for the rest of her life. She died, I think, just before the war. But it's an incredible thing that this one woman is the only reason why there's thousands and thousands of Jungerleit in Kollel today. She completely put on the map the concept of a husband and wife being Kollel couples, and she would work, raise children, etc. But it would be a life of the Kollel life, and that's one person. You have on the flip side, you have a person by the name of Rabinovitz, who caused the deaths of millions of people. And the Chavetz Chaim, when he heard the story about this kid was thrown out of Cheder by his Rebbe, the Chavetz Chaim said that Rebbe will have millions of people's lives on his to account for. That person's name was later on changed to Leon Trotsky. So it can go both ways. One unkind word to a child could, has v'shalom, be taken in a very bad way, or can actually lift up that person.
Trotsky was a Jew?
Sorry, Trotsky was a Jew. Levi, Lev something, I've forgotten his middle name. Lev something Rabinovitz, I believe the name was. So we're talking about when you're talking to someone, you never know how deeply it might affect them, or how they'll quote you to someone who's affected. You just don't know. There's a person by the name of Sid Banks, who never had any education past high school. He went to work as a teenager, and he was a welder in a shipping yard in Scotland. And he had some problems. He spoke to a lawyer about his problems, and the lawyer said one line. He said, "It's all in your head." And the guy couldn't sleep for days. He couldn't eat. He was like so blown away that everything you experience is taking place inside your mind. He started a whole movement called Three Principles, which became very, very popular throughout the world. And the three principles are Torah principles. He says there's only three things. There's divine intelligence, that's HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There's divine intelligence, divine thought, and divine mind. That everything is really, really coming from this great divine power. Unfortunately, many people call it the universe. What nonsense! But the universe is made on its creator. So this came from an innocent statement. It's all in your mind, and he took it seriously. He was a very big pashtan. He never studied philosophy, never studied psychology, and he became the father of many psychiatrists and psychologists. He would give 15-minute talks. I don't have to look him up. Sid Banks is his name, but he caused a whole movement that's still having a ripple effect today, and you're familiar with this. You'll enjoy it very much. So Rav Nachman is telling us that when you speak to another person in words of Yirat Shamayim, you're turning that person into your Talmud, and it goes vice versa as well. When you listen to the other person, because Ezu Hacham Halamid Mikol Adam. So it doesn't have to be someone who's smarter, more intelligent, or older, more years of experience, life experience. It's Hacham is someone who knows he can learn from anybody. So back into the text, Al Kain, Tzarech Kol Echad La'asok B'zeh. Everybody needs to be busy with this. And what's the busy? L'hachnis das v'yirat shamayim b'chaverei. Whenever you have a conversation, find a way to put in das and yirat shamayim into that conversation with your friend. By doing so, you turn your friend into your student. Now, when a person's days are ended, he's come to the full extent of his life and he passes away, the time comes for him to depart from this world. This inspiration of Yirat Shamayim or Das that he gave to his friend becomes a levush. It's a clothing. It's as though he's actively existing in this world. He's not passively existing in mementos left in the Yerusha and plaques named after him. No, he's actually caused other people to have more clarity in their Avas Hashem, Yiras Hashem, in Shmiras HaMitzvahs, in the Bein Adam L'Chavera, Bein Adam L'Makam, Avas Chaim, Simchas Chaim, whatever is the das that he's helped bring about, that is a levush that he's going to be wearing when he leaves this world and goes into Olam HaEmes. K'moshe Kasav, Asher Ein Chalifos Lamoy, which we've quoted from the Gemara in Bar Basra that asks, what's this pasuk mean? That he doesn't have a substitute for himself. Chad Amar Ben, one Mandama said it means he didn't leave this world with children. Chad Amar Talmid, another says no, he didn't have a substitute for himself by leaving behind a student. Nimsa, so it comes out the following. Kishanisha Ben or Talmid Acharav, when a person leaves behind him a child or a student, as a yesh chalivo islamo, he's left behind a substitute, a representation for himself. He hasn't left this world completely because there's someone who's representing him in continuation. Now he's got a continuation through this substitute, a child or a student, because he left his mind behind. Al ben or Talmud, as we've explained. The main thing is the mind. Ukashnisha hadas acharav, when you leave behind your mind, through your children, through students, al yadei ben or talmid nechshav kiluhu mamash nisha kayim ba'olam. It's as though he has maintained his presence in this world, because the presence of this world is not your physical body, it's your mind. And that's what we said last week. Zichroinoi livracha, the word bracha correctly translates as increase, what's one of its correct translations, and therefore the person's presence is continuously increasing. Look at Moshe Rabbeinu. Wow, that's huge. His das is still in this world. I'm a kind of about 4 or 5 different people I'm extremely jealous of, and the one of them is whoever taught Moshe Rabbeinu Aleph Beis. OMG. You think about it, that's incredible. Incredible. So what's that person look like in LM2? I don't know. Who taught Rashi Aleph Beis? Wow. We learn Chumash every day, Gemara every day, and the Ikar Perush is Rashi. That's the first destination point is let's check what Rashi has to say. He's holding our hand, like Rav Nachman tells us, he's like the brother of the Torah.
Where's that mentioned?
Sorry?
Where's that mentioned? That Rashi's the brother of the Torah?
In Sichas Haran, it's in. Where's it in Sichas Haran? I had a simon. I'm trying to remember the simon. It's escaped me for now.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I don't spend a few seconds on this, but it shouldn't be difficult to find. Actually, you can look it up in the index at the back. Yeah, look up Ach or Achi HaTorah, and it'll tell you. So that's where Rav Nachman says we don't realize that Rashi we depend on him so much. So imagine the schus of who taught him Aleph Beis. Imagine the schus of who taught the Baal Shem Tov Aleph Beis. Imagine the schus of who taught Rabbeinu Zal, Rav Nachman, the Aleph Beis. It's mind-boggling. So for just such a simple conversation of teaching the Isis, the person has such an incredible merit that is everlasting, because their mind is through the Isis and leave behind their mind in this world. So ki ika hu hadas, shenisha hadas achrav al dei benotam, mit nichshav kilu hu mamash nishav kaim ba'olam. V'zeh chalif, now Rav Nachman, did you find it? Now he shows you where this whole concept is in the actual pasuk. So in the word chalifos, the word chalifos, which means substitution, you're creating a representation of yourself that's becoming a substitution of you through a child or a son. Rashi Tevos, the letters are the first letters of the following pasuk in Tehillim, Perek Mem Tes pasuk Dalet. Pi yidaber chokmas, my mouth speaks wisdoms. I'm saying it in plural. The hagus libi, and the contemplative thoughts of my mind, of my heart, tvunos, creates understanding. So Rav Nachman points out, ki ika hu hadas, the main thing is a person's ability to think, that they have das. Shu bekinas pi yidaber chochmas v'hagos libi tvunos, which is this pasuk. So chalifos is in the words. The first letter, all the letters of chalifos are the first letters of each of these words in this pasuk. Shezehu ika ha'sharach v'chalifos shenisha min adam achrav. This is what is the main residual of a person after they leave this world, is what das did they leave behind. They left behind their mind that thought and caused other people to be able to think as well. Whatever he spoke about with wisdom and understanding, im chavero, with his friend, v'hichnis boy das emes, and in that conversation there was das emes, which is Hashem's mind. There's a pasuk in Mishlei Perek Beis, Mishnah Beis, I think, a pasuk Beis, I think it is, where das Elokim Timsa. If you really search for it, you will eventually come to Hashem's mind, and it's talking about learning Torah. So when you're learning Torah, you're learning Hashem's mind. Das emes v'yirat shemayim. When you have a conversation that includes these two ingredients, that is what you're leaving behind when you leave this world. V'al ken pi yidaber chochmas v'hagos libei tvunos rashi tevos chalifos. So what you're leaving behind is the representation of yourself, and it's found in that verse. Ki zeh ika hachalifos v'hash'ara. That is the main thing you're replacing yourself with, and that is your legacy. Your legacy is your mind, to the extent to which you shared it with others. Ube'emes ben v'talmid hu kulay chad. Now Rav Nachman points out that really the two are synonymous. You can actually say that they're both the same. They're one thing. Why? Ki haben hu gam ken talmid. A child, your physical child is also your student. Because you've got that child until they become independent, around about 36, 40 years old. You've got them in your home, and you can, it's a pure joke. Until they become independent, they are in your home. Don't worry, you make a bracha, Baruch shepatrani ma'onish hazeh, which means, don't tell this to all mental health practitioners, they might not like it. But when you say, I'm potter from the Einish, that means that from this moment onwards, 12 for a girl, 12 years old for a girl, 13 for a boy, from this moment onwards, you are answerable for your actions. Don't blame me. And if you want to blame me, fine, but it's not going to help you move forward in life, because life is all about make life work. Don't go backwards, go forwards. So, how do I get onto this? A child is an extension of the parent, and we've got an amazing opportunity to imbue in our children the Das Elokim. And we've got that from until they leave home, pretty much, and even some afterwards. It's never too late. But I'm not talking about lecturing. I'm talking about helping them by sharing your clarity of the world with your children. I would even say that the biggest opportunity is with one's spouse. It's not always easy, especially still raising children in the home and marrying them off. But after that, there's certainly an opportunity, if one wasn't successful before then, to be on as much as possible the same page in Das. Hashem is running the world. And all the mistakes we made, Hashem's still running the world. He was running the world then, he's running the world now. Don't get into the blame game, don't get into guilt. No, Hashem wanted it this way. Our job from now on is to do the best we can. Be the best parents, best grandparents, and probably the best way to do that is to not get involved with our kids. Be only involved as much as is really needed. Rav Nachman talks about the best thing for children. This, I think I do remember, I think it's in Samach Ches, is it? No, I'm trying to remember. Where he says the best thing for children is to ignore them. It's to me, it's obvious. I'll tell you why. It doesn't mean ignore, have nothing to do with them. It means let them grow up. Let them make mistakes. You can give them tochacha lovingly. Tochacha does not translate as reprimand. It does not translate as rebuke. Those are Christian-based translations. Tochacha is lashon biru dvarim. Where's it? Samach. Samach. Best thing for children is to leave them alone. Where was it? No.
Is that the one about not playing with the babies? Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, but I don't think it means dafka baby, dafka babies. I'm sorry. No, it's not Samachs. So is it the Samachs? No, I don't see it in Samachs. I have actually forgotten it. Okay, I'll Bezrat Hashem, I'll find it for you another time. Okay. So let's finish off this piece. Gam Talmid hu b'chinas ben. So a student is also your child. K'moish am Rabbeinu Zal. So now Rav Nachman quotes two different places in Sanhedrin. Sanhedrin Tzad Tes and also in Yud Tes. They're two different chazals, but it's very similar. Kol ha-melamed ben chaveiro, that's in Tzad Tes in Sanhedrin. Anyone who teaches his friend's child, ki'ilu asai, it's as though he made that child. It literally is made, and the Gemara there brings the raya from Avram Avinu in a Perek Yud Beis pasuk Hey in Lech Lecha. You remember it's a very famous pasuk. Oh, you found it? Samach. Oh, Nun test.
Is this the one you mean?
Mesugol yote labanim liyos rachuk mem. That's the one. The most mesugol way to raise children is to be far from them. That means this is a very dangerous language, but I think you will find even who's that comedian, Kramer and Seinfeld. Yeah, Seinfeld. So he, in public, he said he just doesn't understand this generation. When he was raised as a kid, he was kicked out of the house every day. Go and play with your friends, and they did. And you learned how to get along with people, and you fought and you made up, and next night you went out and played with them again. And today children are on their silly devices, and they're not growing up. They're not growing up. So it's so interesting. He says, "Mesugul yesel abanim." You know what's a real segula for children? Liyash rachuk mehem. Don't be on top of them all the time. Be distant. Livli liyash davuk behem l'shasher behem b'chol pam. Like to get involved and play with them all the time. Rak libli listakel alehem klal. Don't even let them be children. Let them grow up. And I was raised in that generation. My father was always very busy, and he always gave me time when I asked for it. But he wasn't involved. They never even asked me if I ever did my homework. I actually did, but they never asked me. They never asked me. They were not involved in my world. They were not involved in my school. They went to PTA, but they weren't involved. Now, am I saying that's good? It's not good. I'm saying you end up growing up faster when you don't have adults.
Not a helicopter.
Helicoptering. So yesh v'yesh, but I would even say in large families, because like Hasidic families, they have large families. It's just a personal observation. I don't have a statistic, and I don't have any analysis of this on any research. But it appears to me that they grow up faster because they got to fend for themselves.
It's the policy, not to ignore the children.
So what's right?
It was the policy.
It actually was the policy.
Not to know everything.
Right.
To know everything.
Right. So I think things have gone in a very different direction today, and one has to ask the question: is it paying off, or are we actually disabling our children because they just don't need to grow up? We get involved in every single sichsuch, and then I become the parent who's also the policeman over my kids' differences that they have between each other, and every fight comes to me, and then I fall into the foolish trap of thinking that I'm meant to arbitrate. I will never adjudicate justice that's real, because I'm going to definitely upset one, if not both. The only thing I can do is teach them how to reconcile between each other. Give them tools like that. That works. That's really good. I have a series of 21 DVDs on that subject in the midst of Tochacha, but that's a separate subject. But what Rav Nachman is basically saying, let them grow up. And over here we're saying that a child and a disciple, the best thing you can do actually in raising your child or raising a disciple is not what you teach the child, but what you help the child develop in his own mind. And that you'll see that's the whole Torah was like that. Chumash is written so you can't understand it. You're forced to think. You're forced to ask questions. You're forced to dialogue with the Rebbe. If you're there safer enough, then the Rebbe can say, okay, look at Rashi, look at Sforno. If the Rebbe is really smart, he will make you realize the pasuk makes no sense. He won't teach you the problem in the pasuk. He'll ask you, are you okay with the Lashon Yachid when it's supposed to be Rabbim? Oh yeah, it's supposed to be Rabbim. Why is that? So, well, why do you think? Don't give the answer. Why do you think? And then get the kids to figure it out. And when they do figure it out, you can then say, oh, that's a Sforno, or that's a Rashi. Now, how do kids feel if you help them realize, oh my gosh, I'm thinking like a Rashi, I'm thinking like a Sforno, like a Radak or a Ramban. So what ends up happening is that the Torah is written to force you to think for yourself. And Rav Nachman was big on this. Cover a lot of ground. Because if you cover a lot of ground, guess what happens? The more information you know, the more questions you can ask.
The Balatani in Hilchos Talmud Torah.
Sorry?
The Balatani in Hilchos Talmud Torah, he teaches the word Shinantim Lebenecha. He says it's impossible to teach a kid the entire Torah.
Right.
So it means provide him with the tools, teach him how to learn.
Teach him how to learn. It's got to be that way. And Mishnah says also it's a closed book. There's not nearly enough information in a single Mishnah to understand what on earth is the Mishnah going on about. You needed pages and pages of the Gemara to download the information that's coded or encoded in the Mishnah. And even the Gemara itself is all dialogue. It's all dialogue. So that means it's all about getting the mind to think for itself. There are guidelines, of course, and there's halacha, there is a framework, but it's not a free-for-all, but it is about growing the mind. So Rav Nachman is telling us that when you teach someone else's child Torah, it's as though you actually created that person. So the last one is brought from the famous pasuk, Perek Yud-Beis pasuk Hey, in Lech Lecha. Vayikach Avram et Sarai Ishtay. Avram took Sarai his wife, the Esloit, and his brother-in-law Ben Achiv. There's Kol Ruchusham and all their belongings, Asher Rachashu, which they had possessed. There's Hanefesh. This is the language which is this is an example. There's Hanefesh and the soul. So it's singular, plural. What is it? Singular. There's Hanefesh Asher Asu v'Charan, which they made in Charan. V'yetzu leleches Aretz Canaan, v'yevu Aretz Canaan. So Rashi pounces on the pasuk because it says nefesh. It should be nefashes. We're talking about it's supposed to be plural. So Rashi points out Asher Asu v'Charan shechnisan tachas kanfei Ashchina. It's talking about all the people that they brought under the Das Elokim, under the Shechina. Avram Migaya es ha'anashim. Avram Avinu only dealt with the men. V'Sarai Migaya es ha'anashim. She was Migaya. She converted the women. Umar lehem akasuf ki'ilu asum. These are the souls that they made by being makav them to Das Elokim. So that's the one Gemara that Rav Nachman is quoting. The second one is very similar to that, where it says if you teach your friend's son Torah, ki'ilu yaldoi, it's as though you gave birth to that child. So that's learnt from Bamidbar Perek Gimel Pasuk Aleph. The Eile told us Aaron u Moshe. These are the generations, the children of Aaron and Moshe. B'yom dibra Hashem et Moshe b'Har Sinai, when Hashem spoke to Moshe Rabbeinu on Har Sinai. So if these are the children, what should come next? The list. What should be? A list of who? The children of Aaron and Moshe. And what does the pasuk next do? Only give you a list of Aaron's children. So Rashi immediately points out, and this is how you'd ask the children, do you have a problem? The next pasuk only lists Aaron's. Is something missing? Oh yeah, it started off telling you that these are the children of Aaron and Moshe. Where's Moshe's children? They're not listed here. So says Rashi, El Toidas Aaron and Moshe, the Einoi Maske Ela Bnei Aaron. V'nikru Toidas Moshe Lifish Limdan Torah. But they're called the children of Moshe Rabbeinu because he taught them Torah. Melamed, this teaches, Shekol HaMelamed Es Ben Chaveroi Torah, whoever, we can use the word teach, their friend's child Torah, Ma le'akasav ki'ilu yaladoi. It says, oh, he gave birth to that child. So this is how you see that the Ben and Talmud are really interchangeable.
Wouldn't it be better if you give the loss to Yolda rather than to Yosai? That's what you're trying to get to.
It would be better to say Yalda instead of Asai?
Asking. He's trying to say that every Ben is also a Talmud. Why wouldn't he say Yolda? When he brings the quote here, he brings the killer Yosai. Why wouldn't he bring the other one?
Good question.
Because that has a Makar in Chumash, and that has a Makar in
Also in Chumash.
They're both in Chumash.
The Nefesh Asher Osa B'Churim is more direct than Rashi and yeah, you have no other interpretation on the Nefesh Asher Osa B'Churim. It's very direct.
Very good. That's a good answer.
And also the true. It's basically Ki'ilu Yolda is only a Ki'ilu. And Nefesh Asher Osa B'Churim is they developed it.
Yes.
He developed them.
Also
He created
Kilia,
them.
Yeah.
The pollution is
It's Nasa Shuta from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Masa Bereshis doesn't mean Ki'ilu. It's a
pollution is also
Shuta.
So getting away from
I think so.
the connection of the physical birth or physical converts, the next Rashi kind of puts it together. Malav Akasov Ki'ilu Yaldai B'yom Dibra Hashem Es Moshe. the continuation of the pasuk was on the day Hashem spoke to Moshe. Now, so says Rashi, Nasu elu hatoldoi shaloi. They became, the children of Aaron became his children. Shalimdan Masha lamad mipi agvura. Because Moshe Rabbeinu is giving the das to the children of Aaron of his das that he got mipi agvura. So this fits perfectly with what we're saying over here, that actually it's the das that you are transferring that is creating that person's legacy and eternity, his mind. So I think that maybe partially help answer the question also. But so we back to the end of this paragraph, we're able to finish it. This is so he actually made the child's body, because before he taught him, he has no identity as a human being. If he doesn't have das, that's not a human being yet. He's got the body of a human being. He looks like one. Oh, look, there's a human being. He's walking on two legs. Yeah, I think that's a human being. Then you ask him questions and you realize the guy has no clue. Or Chas v'Shalom is an atheist. Did I tell you this? A waitress was listening. She was serving at a table once, and the guy was saying openly to his friends at the table that he's an atheist, a sworn atheist. So she brings him the dish that he ordered from the menu, and she said, "I just want to let you know that the chef doesn't exist."
It's a myth.
She was smarter than. He's got the body of a human being. Because he taught him Torah, and now he's entered into his mind Da'as. That's what identifies him as a human being. It's as though this person is actually literally made from Moshe Rabbeinu, or whoever it is that taught him Torah. So the two in that sense are literally synonymous. So that was Dalet. I did want to touch on, but I guess I'll if you, with your permission, I'll do it next week because I want to respect your time and let you thought when you go on your way home.
But now it's simple. What I asked before. If the point is to make him into a person, giving birth to him is not enough.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's exactly right.
That's not seldom.
Giving birth is a heichatimsa to the das.
That's the way you started off. The whole idea
This is
is
the kiyum. That's the maintenance. That's the real
Is that
kiyum.
also called Banayach, Lemud Hashem? The definition of a Banayach is if he's a Lemud Hashem?
Yeah, excellent, brilliant.
people get together and create a child.
Well,
So that's why it's a strong illusion.
We have-
yeah,
This actually fits very well
that's
with
because it says Altikri Banayich Lebonai.
Yeah, they're
But-
going to
That's
different
the
about the
builders.
Shalom.
Yeah, you're
I'm
building
saying the
their mind.
actual Banayach is
Yeah.
Lemud Hashem. That
Brilliant.
defines a Ben.
Yeah,
it fits very well with last week's parsha. Everybody's asking, "Man tesapir be'azne binchu ben binchu
Oh.
asher selekta b'mitzrayim."
right,
Yidatem ki ani Hashem. You're the preacher.
Right.
So how does it mamshach das on you? So it's being, if you are actually going to preach it to Yebencha, Ben Bencha, your das will last and it will live forever.
Excellent.
Yidatem ki ani Hashem. That's the ultimate das that it's going to survive even after you pass.
even after, even beyond. Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, it fits very well because the whole, so that's Yitziat
That's-
Mitzrayim.
If das means
Yeah.
the purpose of das is to live forever.
Right. So I think for me, one of the takeaways here is to even though we're going to be talking about doing this with a chaver and having a friend, which is very, very important. In the next paragraph, hey, which is a very short paragraph, we'll do next week, does talk about talking b'yirat shamayim and the need for the person who's talking to themselves have yirat shamayim in order that the other person will actually be able to mikabel and listen and hear it. But I would say that the most obvious opportunity for this is in one's immediate family, because we're talking about children, and our spouse to talk about yirat shamayim to the extent to which they're able to be makabel, because we're going to get to makifim, which is different levels of what people are intellectually, so to speak, ready to perceive. I'm going to talk about that in a lot of detail, giving a lot of examples of what makif is, so it'll, like, bring it down to earth, so to speak. But I would say that the main audience is our spouse and children, and of course Talmidim if we have any, and then friends. Next week, Breslov Hashem, I want to talk about the ingredients of friendship, because that's what the title of this week was. Is if you really want a friend, be a friend. And I want to talk about that because it fits in perfectly over here. Especially Rav Nachman himself talked about the Nekudas HaChaveh, how important it is to have someone that you can talk to with each other. And it happens to be, it's all over Chazal, Oy Chavrusa, Oy Masusa, that a person really has to have at least one person they can talk to in their lives. And Rav Nachman himself said, if when it says Kana L'cha Chaver, in Perik Aleph, Mishnah Vav, in Pirkei Avos, it tells you that you should be willing to spend money on a chaver. So it says Rav Nassan, if you can't find a chaver that you can spend money on, you don't have money to spend on them, then Kana L'cha Chaver, the quill should be your friend, and that very much was the case and still is with Rav Nassan, whose quill was flying with Likuti Halachas, Likuti Tfilas, and then the other Sfarim with Sichas Uman and Chaimran. But look what a legacy he left behind for us, all from a Kaneh. And so in that sense, it really is a huge fulfillment of what we're talking about over here, where Yirat Shemaim is spoken about. Here it's actually in writing. Any questions or comments?
Good job.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Baruch Tiyah, Shkoyach, buddy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Baruch Tiyah.